Up next is a first-time presenter at OZ Pitch Day. Really excited to welcome Joel Mazza up on the stage. So Joel, I'm bringing you up here now, promoting you to panelist. And Joel was actually featured just yesterday on a new episode of the Opportunity Zones podcast. If you caught that one on LinkedIn or X or Apple Podcasts or Spotify or YouTube, I'm everywhere. We featured his deal, which he's going to be presenting here today. It is a historic renovation, or I should say a renovation of a historic school building in Mount Vernon, Ohio, that he has converted into luxury apartment units. The units that are online now are already fully leased up, and it's a very intriguing opportunity. There aren't a lot of developers who are using the substantial improvement provision and taking existing historic buildings and converting them into housing like Joel and his partner Bob have. But Joel, I see your presentation on the screen. So if you're ready, the stage is yours for the next 20 minutes. So how are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic today, Jimmy. How are you?
Good, Joel. Welcome to OZ Pitch Day. Please feel free to dive in when you're ready.
Okay, I appreciate the opportunity. Again, I'm Joel Mazza, and this is my business partner, Bob Erlanger. We're the developers of the GRAD Apartments. These are Class A luxury apartment multi-development located in Mount Vernon, Ohio. This, as you can see from the photograph, it's a historical landmark building. It's actually the recipient of the 2024 Knox County Historical Preservation Award. This project has received local, state, and even national accolades and awards. We've been featured on, or the GRAD has been featured on NPR, National Public Radio. We've been featured on the State House News Bureau, basically explaining how repurposing a historical schoolhouse can tackle our local community, Mount Vernon, Ohio's housing shortage. In addition, we've had members of the Ohio Governor's Office and the Ohio Economic Development Office that have visited the GRAD in 2025. And basically, they've coined the title, we're the poster child of what an OZ Opportunity Development Program really was designed to do: restore, repurpose, and redevelop. And we're pretty proud of that. And one of the unique aspects of our project here is that you as investors, this project is going to go into service in 2025. So right now you can Google it. You can actually come out and visit it. You can touch it and you can walk through it because it's a project that's going into service in 2025. Bob?
Hi, everybody. On the screen now, not spending much time here. Our disclosures, you probably can't read them on your screens. Just wanted you to know they're available for you on our deck. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the uniqueness of our offering. And then after that, Joel's going to get into the uniqueness of our property and its wide moat compared to the other multifamily properties within the area. So first, we think the GRAD is the head of the class, and we think this for several reasons. As Joel said, it's going to be in service 2025. Currently, there's 32 units fully leased, so 100% occupancy. 6 more units will be completed in 2025. Those 32 units leased up in 42 days on the market. Currently as well, we have a 60+ waiting list of folks waiting to get into the GRAD. Current tenant mix, we have young professionals in their 20s up to retirees in their 80s. Average credit score of our tenants is 702. Again, as we said, going into service in 2025, investors do not have to wait for benefits. You're going to see accelerated depreciation from a cost seg study that we had done. Those benefits will come to you 2025. We also have a 15-year tax abatement on all improvements, currently paying, and for the next 15 years, less than $1,500 a year in property taxes on the development. We also have the ability to apply to extend that to 20 years, which will help our value at exit 10 years down the road. Also, we're forecasting distributions to investors first quarter 2026. We are currently cash flow positive. Once we get those other 6 units online, we do forecast those distributions will start first quarter 2026. We're also going to be doing an FHA refinancing in first quarter 2026 to take out our construction loan. And at that time, investors will see a partial return of their invested capital. So why is the GRAD the head of the class? Well, most of the investments that you'll see in Opportunity Zone offering, they're new construction projects. You know, they've acquired the land, they're going through entitlement, but you may be 3 to 5 years before you see any of the benefit, any of the distributions. Here, you're going to see immediate benefit, 2025 depreciation, first quarter 2026 distributions. Sooner rather than later. So you're trying to save up for the tax bills that are going to come April 2027 from your initial deferral. These distributions starting in first quarter 2026 will help generate the revenue that you need to pay some of those taxes. The project itself just has a huge positive social impact. It's not a new construction gentrification project. It is the restoration of a historic architectural gem that the community has had a long history with. Here you're going to see the metrics for our returns for the investment. We did not come up with these numbers. These numbers were put together and vetted by Graham Allison of Opportunity Zone Development Group, an expert in the field, helped hundreds of investors, and worked on billions of dollars of investments. You may have seen him before on some of Jimmy's podcasts. But we're showing average cash on cash at 6.13%, an equity multiple of 2.84, the IRR without the OZ benefits of 12.37, and with the OZ benefits, 14.86.
Okay, so I want to touch base again a little bit more on the uniqueness of this property. Again, we are not a new building. We're not in the middle of a bean field. We're a 1939 landmark. In our investment, we're not speculative. We're not going to give you projected cost. We're not going to give you projected revenue or a projected timeline. We are going into service in 2025. As we indicated, this property is very unique in the fact that it's a former schoolhouse. Not only is it a former schoolhouse, this corner, this entire city block that we own and acquired, has been the cornerstone of the educational foundation for over 200 years. The very first schoolhouse was 1818, and we restored the 1939 school. Another unique factor is the fact that I grew up in Mount Vernon. This photograph that you see here, number 33 is my father. That's when he was graduating from high school in 1955. My wife, her grandfather graduated from this school in 1941. All 5 of my brothers and sisters, including my wife, went to middle school here. So we have very deep ties to Mount Vernon, and no different than any other schoolhouse in any other school community. It resonates with the people. It resonates with the community. There's not a person that doesn't walk down those halls that can't relate. And that's that width of moat, that Warren Buffett theory, is that it's hard to replicate. You can't replicate a building or a piece of property that's been the cornerstone of the community for well over 200 years. So I really kind of think that our story kind of reads like a Hallmark movie, if you will. I mean, it's the classic comeback story. This property was blighted. It was vacant for well over almost 28 years. 4 other developers tried and failed. And it was the programs such as the Opportunity Fund program that allowed Bob and I to be successful, to bring it back from the ashes, if you will. And as you can see, we're extremely proud of it. So I'd like to talk a little bit about the highlights and the amenities here. We think that we blended the perfect new and old, if you will. As you can see, these are not Google Docs, or these are not projected photographs or AI photographs. This is the actual building. This building has, we blended new and old. It has fiber optics, old brick walls, 85-year-old terrazzo flooring with brick inlay, character that you can't replicate in a new build. Go ahead, Bob. This is typical finishes in the interior, granite countertops, custom-made homage cabinetry, hard surfaces, flooring surfaces, 10-foot ceiling heights, windows galore. I mean, we replaced over 144 windows in this facility, low E, going for tax credits. It's bar none, top-notch Class A. And that's the reason why this property, the first 32 units that went online in 2025, literally leased up in 42 days.
Some of the highlights and amenities again, 100% occupancy, 42 days. We are achieving some of the highest price per square foot in the county. Prime location. We are 2 blocks from the central business district. You can walk to shops, you can walk to dining. We own the entire city block, just over 4 acres. So we have control of that city block. There is not another space where somebody can replicate this multifamily housing within that walkability to the central business district. And they can't replicate our buildings. For someone to try and build what we have here would cost them $400 to $500 per square foot. As Joel mentioned, it's got modern infrastructure, full fiber optic. There's a Generac backup system for the entire building, fully sprinklered, secure access with key fob entry, and it's fully ADA accessible with elevators.
So let's talk a little bit about Mount Vernon. I mean, it is the quintessential small town. However, we're in very close proximity to the Intel 1 major development, which is we're less than 25 miles from that site. So this is the downtown central business district. We have historical pubs, theaters, restaurants, the Alcove. The GRAD is located 2 blocks along a brick-lined street. So it's created a very unique demographic within our community. We have retirees that are 80 years old to young professionals that are attorneys and the like. In addition to downtown Mount Vernon, it's a walkable campus, which is very unique. You have Kenyon College, which is one of the oldest colleges in the state of Ohio. You have the Mount Vernon Nazarene College. You also have a branch of the Ohio State University right downtown. So it's a vibrant community. It's a highly educated community. And again, it's 20 miles, 25 miles away from one of the largest capital investments that this country's ever had. Bob, why don't you talk to some of the large investors that have invested within the last 15 miles from our facility due to the Intel facility, and then also the Heartland Commerce Park.
Okay, so you can see the mileage of where we are from Columbus, Cleveland, Cincinnati. Joel already mentioned the Intel site. Many other tech companies had prior investments in the central Ohio area. Since the Intel announcement, we've seen those companies come back and make further investments and announcements that they are bringing more back to central Ohio. We've seen announcements from Meta. We've seen announcements from Google and Amazon, a defense contractor, Anduril. Central Ohio is becoming known as the tech hub of the Midwest. Now, as a part of our locational attribute as well, and due to all these companies willing to expand and come to this area, right across the street from our city block that we own is the Heartland Commerce Park. It was a former Rolls-Royce plant. It was a former Siemens plant. It is a mega industrial site. The city of Mount Vernon had the foresight when all of these announcements were taking place to go ahead and purchase that. So they purchased this park, which is on over 100 acres, 700,000 square feet of industrial space that has now been fully leased or sold to companies that are going to come in and be ancillary supplier to all these companies that have announced.
So here we have a chart indicating the need, which kind of goes back to the NPR article that they did, that Mount Vernon has a severe housing shortage. As you can see right now, currently, this is the most recent data that is available, 2014. Mount Vernon is between 28 and 5,200 units short. So over the next 10 years, there is a serious need for economic development or residential multifamily development in the city of Mount Vernon, which we're positioned to start to fill.
So again, looking at the returns, the targeted returns and metrics for the investment. On this slide, we also added the annualized return, which is 11%. Again, our average cash on cash, 6.13%. Equity multiple, 2.84. The IRR without the OZ benefits, 12.37. And the IRR with them, 14.86. When you go into our portal, you'll notice that it says the minimum investment is $200,000. We do have the ability to take investments and approve them for less than that amount. Also, we are trying to fund all or as much of the investment as we can by June 30th to take advantage of the Ohio OZ tax credit and get an extra 10% that would go into the cash flow of the investment. In order to try and meet that deadline, investors who invest $500,000 or more would be eligible for bonus depreciation. So if you invest $500,000, that would be 5% of the project. You would get an extra 5%. So in 2025, you would see 10% depreciation. Here's just the analysis that got to those return numbers. I know that it's small and you can't see it. We just want you to know this is in the deck if you want to look at it and take a deeper dive. Again, I'm Bob. This is Joel. Our contact information is on this screen. You can feel free to text us or call us on our cell phones or email us. We'll be happy to send you a link to our RAID portal, or you can use the URL on the screen to get to the portal yourself. In there, you'll find all of our offering documents along with the deck. Thank you for listening, and I think we can open it up for questions.
Yeah, thank you, gentlemen. I'm just what's the word? Typing the that tiny URL into the chat in case anybody wants to click on that. Let me just make sure I got it right. 2N8JFH23. There you go. So I just posted that link into the chat if anybody wants a clickable version of it. Great job, gentlemen. I love the project, by the way, because I was really glad you guys were on the podcast, which just released yesterday. I think this is a perfect example of what an opportunity zone deal should look like. You mentioned 4 developers previously over the last 2.5 decades had tried and failed, but because this opportunity zone incentive was available, it finally made this deal work. So I applaud you for everything you've done so far, and I wish you luck on this next phase of development and this capital raise. It looks like it's truly de-risked for new investors coming in. We did have a few questions though. One question from Brad. He says, first of all, he says, Irma team, nice looking project. Congrats. His first question is, will you allow new investors to stay in for the full 10-year period if some earlier investors want to sell after their 10-year period expires? What do you have to say about that timing issue there?
So yes, we would allow someone to come in and hold for the 10-year period.
Okay, that's an easy one. Let's see. Greg asked, let's see. Rick asks a similar question too. How many units will be there when completed? And what are your rents?
Okay, I can answer that. As Bob indicated, we control the entire city block. Phase 1 of this project is the 38 units in the historical schoolhouse. We have been approved. Phase 2 is we're going to segue into phase 2, which is going to be an additional 64 units. So the total project is going to be 102 units, 2 different equity raises. So it's a beautiful project. Now, as for rents currently right now, we're just shy of $1,400 per unit on average. That's the average between 1 and 2 bedrooms. So we are achieving the highest, close to the highest rents in Knox County. However, we're a small boutique Class A facility that, as we indicated earlier, the size of our moat, there is really no competition to the GRAD because of its walkability, its close proximity to Heartland Industrial Park, and the amenities that we have to offer, being a fully handicapped facility.
And Jimmy, so to answer the question again, this phase, this investment, 38 units, the rents for the final 6 units to be completed, those are loft style units. So those are actually going to be some of the nicer units in the building. And those are going to average rents, what, 22 to 2,500
Absolutely
per unit. So those are going to be the higher rent units. Also, we've had a couple folks that had to move out. We had someone that had to move out and live with a aging parent that needed help, and we had someone that purchased a home. Those units, we released them within 1 week, and we were able to lease them for $200 to $225 more than what the original tenants were paying. So the demand, along with our waiting list, tells us that this is a product that is loved in the market and wanted in the market. And so we think we'll continue to achieve highest rents or the higher side of the rents within the county.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you fully leased up the 32 units in, I think it was 6 or 7 weeks, and you've got a big waiting list, so it's a good position for you guys to be in. Greg, follow-up question from him asks, what's the square footage per unit?
I can answer that. The 1-bedroom units are because the uniqueness of the building, and that's something we had to retrofit a schoolhouse. So our 1-bedrooms range between 740 square feet up to 950 square feet. The 2-bedroom units range between 950 to our largest unit, which is 1,450. What's also really unique about our complex is that we built these as en-suites. So every bedroom has its full bathroom and full walk-in closet. So that is unique, that not any other apartment complex in Knox County is offering. Every bedroom is an en-suite. So.
Got it. And then another question here from Rick. He wants to know, who is managing and leasing the project?
I can answer that. As I indicated before, Bob and I are both real estate developers, and we have a sizable industrial commercial portfolio that we've managed for years. We actually have, and I'm from Mount Vernon originally, so we do our on-site managing for phase 1, and then we're going to bring on an additional management team for phase 2.
Got it. The question just came in: was the schoolhouse completely gutted and rehabbed, or was any of the old piping and building materials other than what is on the exterior of the building? I guess how much was salvaged and used on the interior?
Well, first of all, in the one slide that we showed, the 1939 picture, we took 110,000 square feet off the back. So all of that was demoed. Now in the 1939 building, one of the former developers that tried and failed had done a lot of the inside demo. So most of that demo work was already done. We ended up having to demo some of what he had gotten to. So there was some framing from the development that he was working on that we went in and had to demo out. But for the most part, it was a clean slate once we got rid of the back half of the building.
Very good. We're running out of time. I did just drop your contact information for both Bob and Joel in the chat. I listed a phone number for each one of them and an email address for each one of them. So if you have any additional questions or you'd like to request more information or access to their docs in their equity raise portal, please reach out to Bob and Joel. Send them a text, give them a call, shoot them an email, whatever works best for you. Last question from Nihar asks, you shared some financial metrics, but I'm curious, do you know what the untrended yield on cost is?
We would have to check with our accounting team on that. So if you want to shoot us an email with your question, we would be happy to get back to you with an answer.
Perfect. Well, gentlemen, appreciate you joining us today on OZ Pitch Day. Well done. And I also linked to that podcast episode that we recorded a little bit earlier up in the chat. So for those of you in attendance, feel free to check that out at some point as well. Joel and Bob, thanks so much. Really appreciate your time today.
Thank you, Jimmy.
Jimmy, thank you so much. Really look forward to this. Thank you. Appreciate it.